All right, so I want to talk about some Kundalini awakening experiences that I've had. So one of them, I was okay. There's a few that I've probably had, like, I don't know, 100 or so in the span of the last couple of years. But there's a few that I really remember distinctly and vividly. So one of the times, I was on the way back to Georgia, and we were on the highway coming from Florida, and basically I was listening to a musician called Yanni, and just all of a sudden I start getting this feeling of my heart melting, and then I just started crying, and I started breathing really hard, and this lasted literally for the entire song. So this is a 10-minute long song, so I was literally like, at the end of it, I was literally shaking and like crying, and like my whole chest and body was like, so it was vibrating so hard that it was like numb, and it felt like I was literally like floating off like out of my body, and I was like in such a euphoric bliss state of like ecstasy. It felt like a literal full body orgasm for the span of 10 minutes straight without an orgasm. Like, I don't know how to explain it better than that. Another Kundalini awakening experience that I had was, I was at a church up the road, and I was doing some barefoot walking and yoga, and then I went back to go get in my car, and then when I get in the car, all of a sudden I start getting this feeling of like, to be honest, it felt like I was being stimulated sexually by the universe. It was really weird, and I literally was sitting there, and it was such a powerful, literal sexual like union with the universe that like I was like, it lasted for about 15 minutes, and I'm sitting there staring at all these people, and I'm like, dude, I'm literally having a 15-minute long fucking orgasm in front of all these people. And it's really weird because like it felt like not right. It felt like I shouldn't be in this state of existence around these people, because it was so intense and such a powerful feeling that it literally felt like I was like in the middle of public, like having sex with somebody or something. It was really weird. So that was another one. I've had a few where I was doing breath work, and I'm sitting like in nature and looking and doing sun gazing, and I know like you shouldn't do this, but I was doing it at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that, doing sun gazing and breathing, and then all of a sudden my vision just goes white, and everything turned this bright blue white kind of shimmering sheen kind of thing, and like everything was just glowing, and it had this like blue kind of aura, and like all the trees had this beautiful kind of bright aura around them, and like everything was glowing and like sparkling, and it lasted for about 10 minutes or so. But I was doing breath work for around 10 minutes as well, so like as I'm breathing, I'm having this experience, and I stopped breathing, and it lasted for about 2 or 3 minutes afterwards. But the whole experience was me crying and just feeling euphoric tears. Like every single tear that drops down, you feel like every centimeter it moves down your face, like it feels like ecstasy as the tears are rolling down your face, because like every cell that it touches on your face is just like having its own like orgasmic feeling of like conscious communication with everything. And to compare this with drug experiences that I've had, I mean, I've done a lot of drugs. So I've done like methamphetamine and heroin before, and you know, like that was euphoric, but not the same kind of euphoria. Like that was a forced kind of fake, like, to explain it, the way that the methamphetamine is that it activates your lower 3 chakras to, I'd say, about 80% of their maximum, and then it keeps it there for like 10 hours straight. So basically what's going to happen first is that you move into a state of survival. So you start to like search around and look for drugs everywhere, and you start freaking out. And then next, once you've satiated that, then it moves into the sacral chakra. So you have this extreme urge for sex, and you just want to like have sex. Like you just want that really bad. And then once that moves past, it goes up into the solar plexus, and then you literally just want to like do whatever you possibly can to feel a sense of power over another person. And then it cycles. So every time that you move up a stage, it kind of just like cycles back down to the beginning once you run out of it. And it's basically like a negative spiral that brings you into a space of low consciousness in a very quick span of time. It is extremely euphoric, but it's an extremely fake euphoria, and it's not anything that is, it's not good. It's something that is, it feels like it should be good, but you know that it's not. It's really interesting how it works like that. Heroin was more of like along the lines of I feel so okay with everything right now that it's just okay. And what I learned about heroin was that it's not an activator of the lower 3 chakras as much, because meth is like a stimulant, so it activates the chakras. This one, it closes down the heart chakra, and it expands the solar plexus a little bit. So basically what it does is it gives you this feeling of satiation and relaxation by expanding your solar plexus. But to do that, it takes the energy from your heart chakra and moves it down. And then every time that you do that, you're basically taking energy and pulling it down to here. And then every time that you pull it down to here, they're then pulling it down even further. And eventually it goes back down to your root, and you feel as though you need survival in order to be able to, you need to survive in order to be able to be okay. And you feel like you need that all the time in order to feel okay. That's a problem, obviously, because it's something that is not noticed by a lot of people. And it took me literally a full 2 years of addiction and then another 2 years of contemplation over that addiction in order to figure all this stuff out. So literally, like, this is what I have experienced for myself over what this is. And then I will make a full another video about the revelations that I've had about drugs and other things like that, because I've had some crazy revelations about consciousness and human experience and just like life in general, and what drugs are and what they do and why they're there and what they're there for, what kind of consciousness is inside of each one of these different things. And like, there's so many different things that I've realized about this stuff, and like, I feel like a lot of people can learn a lot from that, because it's imperative that people get to a point where they understand what exactly, not only the effects like post-mortem of the drugs, but like I'm saying, like the full-on what it does in the totality of everything. So they like, it's much easier to explain for me in the system of the chakras, because I've become so attuned to that. And I now know I can see auras and I can feel auras, and I just know at this point, you know, like I can literally feel somebody as I'm walking past them, and then like I can feel what their blockages are, because my body will flare up whenever I get within 3 feet of them, and I feel it in wherever it is very strongly. And that's why I honestly wanted to close my heart chakra down for the longest time, was because I felt so much and I didn't know how to reduce that sensitivity. And then I would go and smoke weed, and it would awaken these psychic abilities, but at the same time it would take away my energy to the point where I wasn't able to use them. So it's like all these different things have these effects to them, where they have a positive but they also have a negative. But like, it's cool because you can, if you can go at it with the right state of consciousness, then you can actually pull the positive out from that, and then learn how to manufacture that for yourself without using the substance. And then therefore, because think about it like this, everything is one. We are all one. Okay, so you are that substance that you're taking in. So instead of that substance being the thing that it is that is making you feel better, what it is actually, it's you that's making you feel better. It's you who is activating these feelings in yourself, and you're just allowing this thing externally from you to be the catalyst for that for you. But that's just you allowing something else. Like, it's basically like you going into your body and be like, okay, I will allow myself to feel this feeling if I take this substance, because I've now associated this feeling with this substance. When in reality, all it did was unlock that feeling for you in a way, or like it showed you a feeling that you had never felt before. And then from that showing of it, you can then actually tap back into that instead of actually taking the substance. And then you can manufacture that feeling more and more for yourself. It may not be as potent, and that's what everybody gets so stuck on, is the fact that they want these feelings to be so massively euphoric and strong that there's no way that you can develop that immediately through meditation. Like, you have to take some time. And yes, you can have experiences that are that potent and way more potent than that. But there is a thing about that, because with that, it comes with a lot of different kind of practices. So in order to feel the feelings of methamphetamine, right, I have Kundalini awakenings that the way that I did was I switched that for Kundalini yoga, for Raja yoga, and for also, well, I mean, I've been practicing almost all the yoga forms in some sort of way. Most of mine is not, except for bhakti. I don't really devote myself to a specific person. I generally devote myself to myself. I know that sounds weird, but it's more of like I go inward to find my answers. I don't go external. And when I do get answers from the external, it feels as though it's coming from internal from them. So if that makes any sense, like it's almost like I'm speaking through this person as an instrument to show me something. But anyways, so what I'm going at is though that you can actually manufacture these feelings for yourself. So the feeling of methamphetamine, right? What happened was when I gave that up, and then when I literally decided to give up all of these different kind of substances that I had been doing, what happened was I actually ended up tapping into a source of energy that is just as potent or more potent than that source is. So now I feel literally just as much energy as I did when I was on that drug, except just naturally. But the only thing is that I don't have the extreme, like, I don't have that activation of the lower 3 chakras all the time, for one. So it doesn't feel like an extreme euphoria, like in my lower area. What it feels more like is like a general sense of here-ness and satisfaction and joy and basically like feeling good and with the moment, or feeling just like everything's okay. Because a lot of people around here, like, they don't feel like that ever, really. I mean, they feel like they need to have something happen in order for them to allow that feeling for themselves. But what it is really is that you can just allow yourself to feel that at any time, and then whenever circumstances arise that may cause emotions to come up in you, then you can allow those emotions to come up. But until that happens, there's no point in projecting something into the future that's not real. Man, I'm going all over the place with this. Let me do one more really quick Kundalini awakening story, and then I think I'm good for this one, and I'll make more later. But I actually got to come back here and do some barefoot walking because they were taking way too long at work, so I had to go back in at 2, and it's like 12 or something like that now. But anyways, so eventually, like soon, that's going to be not a thing anymore. I'm probably not going to be working for the moving company too terribly long, just because of the fact that, like, I enjoy the exercise a lot, but I don't know, there's been some specific things where I'm getting nudges to go other places, you know, maybe an opportunity at a crystal store, maybe an opportunity at a couple other places, just to help out. And like, it's not even for pay particularly, it's more just like because I enjoy the energy and I want to move myself into a place where I like the energy more. Anyways, so let's do the last Kundalini story and then that'll be it. So one of the first ones that I ever had was it was the first time I had ever given up, like, not first time, but I was like the only time basically that I had given up heroin. And what happened was I went down to my drug dealer and I looked at him and I started crying. I started bawling, and I'm like, I said, like, because what happened was, like, I was going to buy some drugs from him, and then he said, no, I think that you're going to hurt yourself with this. I would rather you not do that. And then when he did that, I was like, wow, that's a sign. And then I went down and I thanked him, and I said, thank you so much for not selling me that, because I would have killed myself that night. And I'm about to start crying now, dude. Like, it's like intense. And like, I was sitting there and I was crying in front of him. And then I went back up to the stairs and I sat down, and then all of a sudden I started moving through past lives of myself, like being a heroin addict and feeling all of the needles and shit, like from all of my past lives that had happened. And it's like I was letting go of all of that karma all at one time. And then I just started crying more and more, and then just like literally for the next 2 days after this, like everything literally looked like heaven. I'm not even joking. I was on nothing. I was on literally, oh my God. I think I may have smoked weed actually at some point. But like what I mean was, like, I had gotten off of these hardcore things, and then like literally just being outside and just looking at everything, everything was new. Everything was new. It was all beautiful. And I don't know, there's a couple different possibilities. There's one possibility, because this was the exact time that I had my awakening and everything too. So it's possible that either A, I just had a really, really strong awakening to who I am, and I tapped into my higher self and then brought that down for the rest of the time, or B, like I had a walk-in and had somebody, or not somebody, but some other soul come and start to use this body, or to share it or something like that. But it feels like I'm a completely different person, but I still feel the same at the same time, and it's really interesting. So I still haven't figured that one out yet, because I think that this is my soul that I've been holding on to. But I think that I was literally just so brainwashed and so like just so messed up by society and by my parents and everything, that I just was not ever able to see past the 3D. And I think that once I had the awakening into the next kind of level, it just like immediately started it to like go much faster, I guess, where it unlocked all of these different things that I had already known. Because I've always been extremely smart, and I've always been really intuitive, and I've always been like really like physically inclined as well. So like it seems like my entire, like all of the things kind of have always aligned, but I always felt like I was insecure, which is really interesting. And the way that they put it in the law of one, that would mean that I came here with an abundance of wisdom, but I was lacking in self-love a little bit. So I had to learn self-love. So now I've learned self-love, and I feel as though I'm a completely different person. I feel more powerful than damn near every other person I've ever seen. Literally, I feel this power in me that is just so stable and so beautiful. And like I see my heart too now, and I feel like my entire life I always had an extremely open heart. I just was around circumstances and situations that and when I say that, it's not the circumstances and situations were the things that were doing this, but at the time I didn't know how to deal with circumstances and situations, so they did kind of manifest that for me. But now I'm able to go back into my past and almost rewrite my past and basically convince myself that I'm an extroverted, happy and outgoing, happy-go-lucky person. Like all throughout, from 8 years old all the way until high school, I was literally depressed. Or that was my past high school, all the way up until I was like 22 or something like that, 21. I was literally just depressed, and that's how I identified myself. And I identified myself as being anxious and heavily I didn't feel right. I felt like I didn't feel like I fit in. I felt different for my whole life. And I think that kind of showed now in a way, because it's like it's showing me, okay, like you came here from a higher density of being, and like you literally are not like a lot of these people. Yes, we are all one, but what it is like some people are on a level of evolution that's a little bit different than other people, and that's not better or worse. It's literally just like, think about it more like grades in the school. Like you don't think of a kindergartner as anything worse than a 12-year or a 12th grader. The only difference is that their age and their experience level is different. And some kindergartner could be, smarter than some 12th graders, you know what I mean? Like it just depends. And like they could have the opportunity of growth and to become a huge thing just as you did. But the point that I'm making though is that like I know that I came here with a lot of experience, and I know that I came here from another octave or density, not octave, but another density of light and love. And I've experienced that realm, and I've brought that realm to here before, and I felt it here, and I know that it's real. And I've seen everything as being light and love, and I felt it, and I know that it's real. And I've had many, many experiences of just it being shown more and more and more to me, and it being presented to me more and more and more, to a point where it's undeniable at this point that everything is made out of light and love, and we are literally all just fractals of God looking at each other and learning about ourselves. That's it. That's literally what we are. So yeah, there's some people rafting, but anyways, so I just wanted to share a little bit about the Kundalini awakening and just some stories about my own kind of past experiences. And this is just scratching the surface, literally. Like I have many, many more. I just have to think about it. This was completely offhand and just whatever I felt like saying. So I have a feeling that somebody got something out of this at least, but hopefully you did. I don't know. We'll see. Have a good day, everybody, and I hope that you guys can start to accelerate your awakening and your self-growth more and more throughout these days. And I hope that the next few years can be some prosperous and beautiful times for all of us. Have a great day.